There he is.
What's going on, big man?
How are you?
I'm pretty good. You?
I'm doing well. I don't know about big man anymore. I'm trying to lose a bunch of weight, and I got about 30 more to go.
How much have you lost so far? Because I saw you posted some one day.
I've lost 30. Right when I posted it, I stopped losing weight.
That's supposed to be accountability when you post it.
I know. I just wanted to tell people I lost weight, and then all of a sudden I stopped. But I haven't had a pop since the very beginning, so I feel a lot better. I just need to actually get out and exercise. That's kind of the next step. You know, that's all been, the 30 pounds has all been diet.
Man, that's wonderful.
Yeah. So
that's really good.
Eating terrible and drinking 8 pops a day, and now I'm eating healthier. So now I just got to take it to the next level.
That's good. The lifestyle, you made that change for the eating and drinking, so that's good.
Yeah, for sure. It's been good, and I'm used to it now. I don't crave pops anymore. I don't get headaches because I didn't have a pop. So,
right.
And then I don't have the up and downs in regards to like energy throughout the day. It's been pretty consistent. So it's been good.
Real good.
So I guess, well, first of all, thanks for coming on. I've shared a bunch of these recently, and we've been going back and forth for probably a couple months to knock this out. So
man.
you're gold in my book as always. And I love everything that you're about and everything that you do. And hopefully these videos just kind of share it with a few different people, and hopefully it doesn't hurt anybody. Knowing me, but I guess tell us about your company and tell us about what you're doing real quick. And then after that, I'll ask you a couple more questions about maybe our history in regards to coaching at Rock Valley, et cetera. But what's your company and what exactly is it?
Okay. So it's Maximum Potential. And not to be confused with Level Up, but I post Level Up. I've been doing that for many years now, just as something to say, like a little slogan, something to say about going to another level. But Maximum Potential Training is the name of the company, and short, I make it Max P. Been doing it for many years. Actually, going into the big story, I've done it since around actually 2000, man, a long time, when I kind of started out with Will Gordon. Didn't have the name at that time, but we kind of started out doing that stuff together. And when my mom passed away in 2014, and I was actually working full-time at Rock Valley right after I stopped coaching there. And we were just talking about going full-time for training before she passed. It was in 2013. And I was like, well, I don't know about that. Like, I need a regular check coming in. And she was kind of like, hey, you need to trust in God and make sure that no matter what, you always work to get to another level. Just be the hardest worker. And so that's kind of where Level Up came from as well. And so that was that. And it's training for, I stick with a lot of athletes. It doesn't matter what athlete they are. I take my personal training certification as far as that goes with any sport, doing speed, agility, strength conditioning, all those functional movements. And as far as the basketball portion for the skill development, whether it's ball handling, shooting, whatever we get into there. And I just like to take it from the physical and into the mental standpoint, because to me, the game of basketball or any sport is just like life, man. It just gets so mental. So I make sure that I stick with that. And anybody I've ever worked with or coached would definitely say, they'll probably say I play mental games, but they'll definitely say I'm about the mental. So that's basically what it is in a nutshell.
Yeah. So just right off the cuff, haven't talked to you in several weeks, but just off of the cuff, I don't think people actually probably realize how many kids and how many successful athletes around this area that you actually work with. I mean, 2 years ago, I was standing next to you at a Boiling game, and you're like, I train him. I'm like, oh, we're pretty close, but I didn't know that. Name some of the kids that you've worked with over the years. I mean, some of the successful ones that maybe that have moved on to college. I know there's a ton. The most recent one I just heard is that you were working out with Noah Hecox, who was at Minnesota, and now he just transferred over to, I forget where he transferred to, but
Illinois State. Yeah,
Who are
man.
the other guys?
It's funny that you mentioned him because I literally just got done working out with him,
Oh,
and
awesome.
it's rough because sometimes, depending on the sessions that we do, either when we get done or sometimes with him, man, I'm working out with him, and you know how Noah's big time, man. So I leave super sore, super sore if I'm out there with them. But
Sure.
every once in a while with some of those guys or girls, it's good for them to see, even if I'm doing a hill session or something, it's good for them to see me out there too, and good for me to stay in shape. But it's hard to name, like if you name specific schools, I could. I try my best not to name drop, only because
I know.
as soon as I name, 5 kids, 10 kids, and who's been successful, you forget another 10, 20 more who are
Yes.
really successful. And then it's also based on, you know, I used to have the quote that says success is when your mind and body reaches its maximum potential. I mean, it depends on who's defining success, because I do have some that went on to Division 1, Division 2 that plays, and still some are playing overseas pro ball.
Sure.
But I won't count them as any more successful than I do the one who played and finished their years and now is a trainer like David
Yep.
Brown. I'll just mention him because he's a trainer. He's doing a heck of a job out there in the Elgin area.
Yep.
And he's working with a lot of people. We've been talking about doing some stuff together, but I trained him for a long time, all the way from high school when he got his MVPs all the way through college. And then, he was going to be playing pro, and he, got injured a couple times. So um, whether they're trainers, doctors, lawyers, literally there's one who just graduated, her stuff for law school. Regardless of what it is, that's what this is about, that I do what I can on my end for your skill development and or your speed, agility, just the training in general. And sometimes the workouts are really tough, and just make it to where you understand you'll be at a point in life, and everybody gets to that point. It's like, oh my gosh, I just want to give up. And you'll remember something about training that just helps you keep pushing. So it's on the field, off the field, on the court, off the court, just all those things. And so without name dropping, there have been a ton of them. But I just don't want to forget anybody
Yeah.
and name them in that way.
No, and I'm going to throw one more name at you that I know you've trained over the years, and the purpose for this is to also share with, just I guess, anybody that watches this. Maybe this is one person or two people,
Right.
but they also train boys and girls in basketball and other sports. But you trained Jordan King for a lot of years, and I see that they just got knocked out of the tournament here most recently. But tell me about how many years you trained her, what you guys focused on, what did you do in that relationship?
Since she's I want to say like summer of 6th grade year,
Okay.
and going to 7th grade year, been going nonstop.
Yep.
Athletes like her, man, dime a dozen. Like she, when I look at someone like that, it isn't just about their skill, and this is where people don't understand. They'll look and say, "Oh, she's playing Division 1 basketball. She's doing this. She's doing that." When you're talking about people who are truly dedicated and get to that level, you're talking about people that they don't care if you tell them sessions at 5 a.m. or 5 p.m., 5
Right.
a.m. or 9 p.m. They don't care if, now during the COVID situation, it's a lot different, but they don't care if they have a stomach ache. They don't care if, man, I had a long night. They don't miss session.
Sure.
Just people like her. I mean, it's a diamond. So we've been training for a long time, and it just clicked.
Yep.
And I remember a few times, especially in her younger years, she had some pretty tough sessions, and she was kind of down and out. And I'm like, it's my job to be a little harder. It's my job to pay attention to detail. And some people kind of fold when that happens, and she kind
Yep.
of rises to the occasion when that happens. And so again, speaking of her, I just spoke to her last night or the night before, whichever one, about the NCAA tournament. Very proud of her for
Okay.
making it. She kind of got her position switched, where in high school she wasn't necessarily a quote unquote point guard. She could play it.
Sure.
And at Marquette, she's been asked to do that. Takes care of the ball. She gets her teammates in the right places. She's always been a true leader. So that's very good. And although she didn't score as much as she wanted to, I think she averaged 9 or a little over 9 this year.
Sure.
She plays pretty complete games, even in that loss to Virginia Tech the other night. She had 8 points, 7 rebounds, like 5 or 6 assists with only 1 turnover. And so, talking about constructive criticism, I'm like, hey, you know, I know you want to get more points, but listen, that was a nice stat line, you know,
Sure.
and we're looking at coaches like ourselves used to talk about 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. And I'm always preaching, man, 3-to-1, 4-to-1,
Yeah.
you know,
Sure.
and it was 5-to-1. So it was really good. So she's definitely a gem, and appreciative to have her.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I guess the reason I bring that up is because I want people listening to this, obviously, either if they don't know you already, maybe they know your name, but I also want them to associate you with a couple successful athletes recently, both football and basketball, both boys and girls.
Yeah.
And I know you're not the guy, you're a humble guy. You're not the guy to turn around and brag on the kids unless you're asked a direct question. So
Right.
I had to do that to you, buddy.
No problem.
Having said that, you know, I'm just going to take that one step further. I over the last 12 months during COVID, I would probably describe myself or my parenting skills as probably lax to none. And when my kids were up at 5 a.m. and they didn't have to go to school the next day, and they were playing games, I ask them what they're still doing up, and they tell me that it's a pandemic. So I tell them to keep playing, right? I wasn't the guy that parented this last 12 months. So over the last few months, when my two boys have been going to you and waking up in the morning at 7 o'clock or 6:30 or whatever time they're waking up and I'm not, it's a testament to you because they don't complain to me about it. So they're excited about going. They're getting better. They enjoy it. They enjoy the relationship that you guys have together. So I appreciate it a ton because I couldn't do it. And a lot of times people look at me like, Coach Warner, my wife will say, Jason, you're a coach. You do certain things. And I'm like, no. Gene will take care of our boys and they'll be in good shape. All right. Let's just pass them off to them. So I appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. Real quick, talk about like different places that you train. I know you train out of multiple locations or you'll go on site places for teams, etc. Explain that a little bit. So if somebody wants to hire you or give you a call, how would they, where would you go? Where do you train?
So I always talk about, I actually have certain moves that I teach and certain workouts that I do, and I always call them unorthodox. And that's kind of what I talk about with training. That in between time where kids are in school, not in the summer, but kids are in school, I didn't want to focus on that non-athlete as much. And if I do, that's when I'll. But I've been using Carlson Boys and Girls Club, and then a ton using Sports Factory. Love that. It says internet connection unstable. So if for some reason,
I think we're back now, so we're good.
Okay. All right. So love the Sports Factory. Just went out there even last night and on Friday, and I think they did a wonderful job with the WNIT and hope to see a lot more events with that. And I just think that's a great place to go out and use for anyone, whether we're training basketball or a different sport. I think it's a beautiful facility. So definitely trying to utilize that more and help not just the Sports Factory, but our whole city and area with that ability to use that facility downtown. So I'm there a lot. And then I do a lot of workouts outside as well when it gets nicer out, like on the last couple of years on 815 day. I'll just tell some athletes, hey, bring $8.15 and we're going to get a heck of a workout, and we'll go outside or probably at the hills and do a great workout. So that will be coming again this year. Hopefully it doesn't rain or anything on 815 day. So yeah, kind of do it unorthodox but we definitely use Sports Factory all the time.
Yeah, and then I know we lost internet connection there a little bit, but you also work out with several high school teams in regards to kind of their preseason conditioning. And then you go on site places on a consistent basis, but you obviously figure that out with the coach, and then the individual players just pays whatever it is to the coach.
Right.
How do you set that up? How could somebody contact you?
So they can call me 815-558-4789. You can email me at maximumpotentialtraining@yahoo.com. A lot of people have me on social media. They can find me. And basically that's what I do. Years ago, that's kind of basically how I started. And it was more like an intern, unpaid. And when I was talking about Will Gordon and I, many years ago, it actually started with Jefferson High School. We were just so into it, and we were saying, hey, utilize us. There's
Sure.
certain contact hours, that coaches can use every year, and sometimes they can't be there. And
Yep.
so we're like, hey, let us volunteer. You don't even need to be around. We
Sure.
kind of volunteered doing some things. And
Yep.
from there, we started getting people. And one other thing people really don't know, I did this for several years unpaid, and I didn't even ask anyone for anything. So it was kind of like I
Sure.
felt like I paid my dues. I learned a
Absolutely.
lot, even though right now I'm still learning. No matter when, the day I stop learning, I'll stop doing anything.
Yep.
But I feel like I'm still learning, and I feel like I grew a lot from doing that, even free or pro bono. So I really appreciate those years back in the day to be able to do that. And we just contact coaches, and now a lot of coaches or programs, they'll contact me, and like you said, whether it's preseason conditioning, whether it's preseason, let's get some extra skill development sessions because we can't be around. And the way I kind of like to do it is that we'll just make a team price and
Sure.
go from there. I really don't want to break anyone. I honestly feel like as the game changes and the game evolves, I feel like good training is something every individual needs and every team should have. And so obviously I can't do it all myself, and there's other trainers around, but I feel like that we should be utilized, and that they can just contact us and we can come in and help with their programs.
Yeah, so I know you're a basketball guy, and I don't know if everybody knows this, but you had a lot of success with the women's basketball program at Rock Valley College. When I was coaching out there with you, and then we were both part of the men's staff for a couple years. But describe like the different things. Obviously, you do basketball training specifically, but
Right.
like with my kids, I didn't pick up the phone and say, "Hey, Gene, I need you to do basketball training specifically with my kids," even though, one's in basketball, one's in football. I just need you to work and continually make them better athletes and have them enjoy getting up and doing some things. Um, give me what like the bread and butter is in regards to what you guys do. Is that strength training? Is it speed and condition or speed and agility, or is it a combination of both?
Okay.
And then just expand on that. Like, hey, where is it at today, and what does the next 10 years look like for Gene?
Okay. It's actually a combination of all. So if everyone can envision it, is this basically what I do? Let's just say I was taking you and you're an athlete. You need to be trained different than the next guy or the next girl.
Sure.
And yes, different sports need to be trained different. Now there's certain workouts you can do and they could be similar. But if I see Jason Warner coming in and he has a mindset that, you
You're
know
gonna
what,
say hop on the bike for a half hour, and then get back to me, and the training is gonna start.
no, but what I will do honestly is I'm going to find your weak spots
Sure. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
going to find your strong spots.
Yep.
And I want it to be through our rapport and
Yeah.
through what you see as far as your results,
Yeah.
instead of it being a gift and a curse, which many people would look at like, oh my gosh, I got to go to Gene today.
Sure.
I want it to end up a gift and a gift.
Yeah.
So, hey, because of our rapport, and there's someone else that you can go to, someone else that you can put in this work with, someone else that's there for you. But then now they're going to help you get to that next level. So it could be looked at as a curse for that hour that we're together or however long we're together, but it's
Sure.
truly a gift because of how far you can go. And so I kind of take each person different, even if they're in a group. In my head and in my heart, I individualize that athlete, that student athlete. And so I'm on them. And if I think, hey, they need to be pushed here doing this, and someone else needs to be pushed doing something else, I'm going to make that happen because that's really and truly the only way we can grow. And I don't want anyone ever to become stagnant or get stuck.
Sure.
And I don't want anybody to come in session and feel like I had a bad day at school, so I can't do this today, because that's going to happen. Or I had a bad day in life. That's going to happen. So how do we get past that so that in 15 years, when you're working your career and you're having one of those bad days or family problems or whatever it may be, how do you get past that mentally? And so
Yep.
when I'm doing that training, that's what I'm doing, individualizing it, even though it's group sessions. And for me, I've always said honestly that when I reach 50, which is still a long time, but when I reach 50, I didn't want to do anything like this anymore as far as the physical part of it. I'd
Sure.
love to, even now, be able to find someone that has just as much passion as I have and that will put in the education behind it and that will really push the student athletes that will join maximum potential so that, you know, I could break off a little bit because I love doing motivational speaking and
Yeah.
going out and having speaking engagements. And as years go past, I would love to get even deeper into that. And obviously in 10 years, yes, but that could look like that next year. That could look like that in 5 years. Now,
Sure.
next year, in 5 years, I'm not going to stop doing training, but
Right.
definitely later, I'm going to stop doing training. So just building as I can, because I think that it helps our area. I don't ever want to see kids leave our area and then they struggle when they go to college, or
Sure.
teams, they pass our regional and then now in sectionals or super sectionals, they're getting beat up. And so it's a big passion behind what I'm doing to try to help our area get better.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we've grown up in this area. What do you think young kids, and when I say young kids, kids that are probably at the age when they need to start training. I don't know specifically know what that age is, but what do you think our area could do, or what do you think our area should do a little bit better? And obviously you're working to achieve that, but where do we drop the ball a little bit? You know, in basketball, I think there's some areas in regards to education, obviously, that we just, as a community, not anybody in particular, not any kid in particular, but as a community, we just drop the ball because we have a lot of kids that could go on and play college basketball,
Yeah.
but we don't have a lot of kids that have our qualifiers on the boys' side to turn around and do that consistently. And I could give you a handful of kids that should be getting NAIA scholarships or Division One. Everybody thinks Division One, but Division One or Division Two or NAIA scholarships, and we don't move kids out because our grades aren't there. From your aspect as a trainer, what do you think our area just needs to improve on in addition to, let's say, education or skill work?
I've kind of hit the first part you were saying. Very important for those really young athletes
Yep.
to, I think it's very important for them not only to play, but for the parents, coaches, everybody to be on the same page to allow them to play whatever sports they want to play.
Yep.
And not try to, at 6 years old, say, man, my kid's ranked and I have to leave them in basketball only. I mean, that's too much for kids, and they need to be able to have fun, see what else they're good at, because something I dropped the ball on when I was younger. I was really good at football, loved the game,
Sure.
and I was kind of persuaded into just sticking with basketball. And me being a 6-foot guy that I was putting the post most of the time, not going to have that many opportunities in the game of basketball, but it would have opened up tremendously in football. If I kept running track and maybe threw the shot and disc, it would have opened up tremendously if I would have tried other things a little bit longer. So I can take my mistakes and push that to them. As far as the community, and not, you know, blaming this on any one entity, is just what I see and hear a lot of. We just really need to stick together.
Sure.
We can't have crab in a bucket mentality. We can't worry about who's training who. We can't worry about, I just want to train the best kids. We can't worry about, I don't want to send my kids to this school because somebody else is transferring this other school and they're not going downstate.
Sure.
You know, when you're talking about education, everybody needs to be able to send their kids hopefully where they want. But from then help build them up. And then coaching them, it doesn't matter if you're not training them, be able to help. Like, you know, when I'm at peak and I'm working out and I look around the corner and I see a kid, even if I don't know him or if I know him and he doesn't work out with me, and I see a kid doing something and I can help, I'm going to tell him right
Sure.
there. And it's happened because if you are really about our area and helping our kids, then it shouldn't be anything different. And so I really feel like, and again, I'm not talking about anyone. It just, from our schools, school districts, from our athletic directors, from our AAU
Yep.
coaches, myself,
Yep.
and other trainers. everyone just needs to stick together and continue to develop plans that help everyone, and not, oh, well, this group of kids because they work out with Gene, or this group of kids because they go to this school, just
Sure.
everybody. And I think that will help tremendously with our community, to be honest. And it should be mandatory for all of our kids to do speed and agility workouts. I think we're pretty behind. Like, we'll have the athletes, but sometimes it's a wake up call when we hit those bigger tournaments with some of, quickness or strength, explosiveness. I think it's a wake up call. So I think we're behind a little bit there. And then I always think even the IQ, even in training sessions, I'm doing my best for instance, basketball skill sessions. I'm doing my best to utilize terminology that other college coaches might use, or to do drills that I know is not only just for high school, but that they're going to need in college, so that they're not behind. And, that's just my part. So if everybody does their own individual part, and then everybody kind of sticks together and encourages the kids, no matter what school they go to, who their parents are, who they train with, I think that would help us a lot.
Sure. So I don't want this to get lost in translation because you said it, but I just want to reiterate it. I had a dad the other day say, "Hey, coach, can you talk to my son about basketball?" And his son's a good little basketball player, but he also wants his son to play baseball, and he's only a sophomore in high school. So I talked to the son, and he laughs at me, which is okay because I've been laughed at before. But I wish more kids would play more sports, not only at an earlier age, but even throughout high school. I mean, you look at the guys like the Dean Lowrys of the world; they were playing high school basketball. And he goes and plays college football. And a lot of times those college coaches are looking for the all-around athlete, not just the one specified athlete in their sport. And this is coming from me, who self-proclaimed I'm a basketball guy. And I think we, not necessarily parents, but kids as trainers, not you, but like in general, sometimes we miss the boat there. And I think we got to hit kids from more angles. How many times a week do you think you talk to kids, or a month, or how many times in your life have you told a kid that they need to play a lot of sports?
Man, a lot. Just got over. And my question isn't, hey, when do you want to train again, or how do we change this? And my question is, okay, what sport's next? So I know what's going on. And, I'm not doing anything. Well, you're not. Or are you doing AAU? No. Are you playing football? No. Well, then you're running track, right? No. Well, why not? What are you doing? Well, I'm just going to kind of focus on work. Well, you're a kid, you can still focus on, you can still work. And there are some, I run across a lot of kids. Some have unique situations where, hey, they really need to work a lot of hours because of whatever situation it might be at home. But I always do what I need to do so that any kid that comes to me can never leave our area and say, man, I wish I had, because it just can't happen on my watch. If you need me to be there and help walk you through it and train, or even if maybe you train with someone else and you just don't know how to prioritize so that you can still make it work. Because every time I ask kids, hey, if you had the opportunity to play college ball or had the opportunity to be a student athlete in college, would you? A lot of hands raised. Now, if I just ask them if they're going to play, a lot of hands don't raise, because I call it that C word. Confidence stops a lot. But if they feel like they had that opportunity, many raise their hands. Problem is they don't understand what it takes to be a college athlete. And so my thing is like, hey, you should still be able to work a job, get good grades, and play another sport if you want to, or AAU, or extra training, whatever it is that you're going to do. And I think that's a very important. So I talked to him about that, and we're not even talking about the extra stuff I post about with injuries. If you're only doing that one sport, and your body's only used to that one type of workout, and your body's only used to doing those one type of cuts, then you're more prone to injury. And that's just whole nother podcast, but so it's good for them to work out in different ways and train in different ways and play different sports.
Yeah. I think this will always be a never-ending and constant battle for me as a basketball guy, self-proclaimed, that kids need to be playing especially certainly at an earlier age. They need to go play baseball, and they need to go play soccer, because in addition to injury, in addition to muscle fatigue, there's also a mental burnout in regards to kids just playing over and over and over the same sport. And I know, and I just want to kind of leave this open for you. Talk to me about some of the mental stuff that you guys are you're implementing into your program. I know it's really important to you. You've said it over and over to me specifically, and I know you're starting to implement that, or you've been implementing it. But I think it's a huge part of it.
Yeah, so you're right. Like we were talking about the mental thing. I'm always looking to grow, and I'm always saying, how can I do my job, but do it better? And so sometimes that means to me doing extra reading, extra studying. Somebody say, what are you studying for? Well, I'm a trainer. If I'm working with student athletes, I can't just have the mindset that I had 5-10 years ago. Everything evolves, and I need to grow with it. And so I think that's super important. Well, what does it look like sometimes when you have athletes? If you just have this one mindset of this is how I train, then we're probably going to be failing student athletes, because you have to be prepared for every situation. You have to be prepared sometimes, even though you're getting paid for your service. You have to be prepared for those kids to come in and say, I haven't eaten all day. And maybe it's because they don't have food at home. You have to be prepared for, man, mom and dad have been on me about my game, and I never have time to have a conversation with just mom and dad. That's why I admire what you did, because you can go out and work out with your sons. Obviously, you understand this is what I do as a trainer. And so I'm coming from a professional standpoint, but some parents, they make a huge mistake and say, well, I'm not going to do that because I can just do it myself. And what they don't realize, because I hear it time and time again, is that they lose that time with their son or daughter, because their son or daughter is coming to me and they're crying about, man, I feel like I don't have mom or dad at home because all we talk about is sports. And so it's a rough thing. But I think that all the kids, all the student athletes need to know we're all pulling together. And it's super important to make sure that we're going another level with them. So what I did was say, I'm going to hire someone for mental sports performance. And in the beginning, just, beginning consultation, I'm not going to have anybody pay for that, if they're training with me. But I don't want it to look like a sob story session, but maybe you need to discuss something with them. Maybe it's about COVID. Maybe it's about the pandemic. Maybe your parents couldn't be there. Maybe it's because your parents are too hard on you, but maybe it's just that confidence, that C word in the game. Maybe it's something different. I try to talk to them about these things, and it's pretty successful because I build a rapport with my athletes. But just like I'm a trainer and that's my job, I want to leave it to someone else that's their profession. And so, like those parents I was talking about, hey, I know you say you could do it on your own, but maybe you change your own oil. But if something's wrong with your engine, you're not going to try to change your engine and, fix your transmission on your own. Maybe we know how to take care of our bodies, but if you get really sick, you're going to go to a doctor. And so you can do those basics, but sometimes you need that trainer. And I'm taking that mindset that, I can do my part, but let me hire someone else to come in and also talk to them from the mental perspective. And so I think it's super important. And, the pandemic is real. Mental illness is real. And it's real that a lot of kids lack confidence and that they may just need to discuss it. And that may take which is the least important, but that may take their to another level.
Yeah. I think just through the years, just being around kids, I think you're probably the most unique guy in regards to being a good cop and a bad cop all in the same breath successfully. And the reason I say that is because you connect with kids, but you're also tough and they want to work for you. And I think that's a credit to you. And I think that's pretty awesome. And that's why I send my kids to you. So I appreciate it.
I appreciate that, man.
So, hey, so I'm going to share this and hopefully maybe one person, 2 people, 5 people, maybe the park district, maybe somebody's watching this. Maybe somebody down at Sports Factory is watching this and they're like, okay, hey, we got to get Gene in front of not 1 kid, but we got to get Gene in front of 500 kids. And then they put together some type of a different type of contract for you, which certainly helps you grow your business. I'm not in those positions in Rockford, and I don't plan on ever being in those positions in Rockford. But if I was in one of those positions in Rockford, I'd be calling you up and I'd be having that conversation. Hopefully this spurs one kid to call, and hopefully, obviously through that, you're going to make that kid's life better. I appreciate your friendship a ton, buddy. And if you ever need anything, you can always hit me up.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you. I'm going to let you go. The wife's cooking dinner upstairs. And I've been intermittent fasting and I'm dying right now. So I'm hungry.
Nice. All right, man. Have a good one. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks. Bye.